Hi everyone, thanks for your interest and overwhelming response to this webinar. I am Pawan Reddy, Senior Systems Engineer at Decos, and I am a certified ISO 13485 lead auditor, and I'll be your host for this webinar today. The agenda for today is to describe the listed topics, which are overview of quality management system, introduction and significance of ISO 13485, and why should we be compliant with ISO 13485. Starting with the overview of a quality management system, here we'll understand what is quality and what is a quality management system. Before we discuss about quality management system, let's understand why is quality important. For any given product that we produce, quality speaks about engineering, creativity, and consistency that we have dedicated in development of that product. And quality also builds trust among the customers and will help an organization in adhering to respective standards and regulations. So majorly we'll have internal quality and external quality definitions to produce our product. So where internal quality helps in maintaining consistency and uniformity among our products, and external quality helps in satisfying our customers, fulfilling regulatory body requirements, and compete with other products in the market. Coming to what is quality management system. So to define quality of a product, we should have a system in place to implement, organize, update, and manage quality related activities in an organization. So this is nothing but a quality management system. So quality management system can be defined with a combination of company's own quality policy requirements or any standard requirements related to your product or regulatory requirements depending on where we market our device, and risk management requirements which are subject to where and how we use the device, and any specific customer requirements, etc. So before we go into the next topic, I would like to take a poll. So the question is, do you believe that quality management system is important to a medical device? So I would like to repeat the question. So do you believe that a quality management system is important to a medical device? I request you to respond to this question with the three options given below. Thanks for your response. I see majority of you have replied with yes. Yeah, so the quality management system is a mechanism to plan, produce, and organize an efficient, effective, and competent medical device. And we see how it works in the remaining part of this webinar. Why quality management system? So a quality management system helps to plan and define activities or processes involved or operating mechanisms which helps in organizing the product development. A quality management system recommends to identify appropriate resources and define their authority and responsibilities accordingly. A quality management system will also help us to detect any competence gaps and train resources where and when required. Quality management system will also help in developing a root level plan to maintain machine and material to handle any breakdowns, maintenance activities, inventory management, etc. Quality management system helps in constantly monitoring the whole process and equip you with the ability to review, analyze any challenges, and take necessary mitigation steps appropriately. Redressal mechanism. So any given foreseeable or a live issue will be addressed with a predefined pathway which will cut down its impact on quality of our product. Audits. A comparison between what we are currently following regarding quality and what respective quality standard recommends to have will give you a clear picture of how efficient and proactive is your process in producing a finest medical device. This is called an audit. So this could be an internal or external audit. Hope now you had an overview on why quality is important and what is a quality management system. Moving on, here we are into the next topic of the webinar, where we'll get to know about ISO 13485. ISO 13485 introduction. So we'll discuss about what is ISO 13485. ISO 13485 is an international standard that sets out the requirements for a quality management system specific to medical devices industry. It will focus on meeting customer requirements as well as applicable regulatory requirements. ISO 13485 is intended for any organization which is partially or fully involved in a medical device lifecycle and covers any organization irrespective of its size or type which is involved in the life cycle of a medical device. ISO 13485 is a certification model where an entity can be certified as compliant to ISO 13485 through an authorized certification body after a thorough audit. To whom it is applicable. So ISO 13485 is designed to be used by organizations involved in production or servicing of medical devices or any supporting activities. It can also be used by internal and external parties such as certification bodies to help them with their auditing process. It helps an organization design a quality management system that establishes and maintains the effectiveness of its processes. Benefits of ISO 13485. So ISO 13485 demonstrates compliance with regulatory and legal requirements. It will establish certain practices that will constantly yield safe and effective medical devices. It will manage risk effectively and thereby improves product safety. It will improve procedures and their efficiencies as necessary and gain a competitive advantage in the market. With this, I expect that you got to know that ISO 13485 and its intended purpose. ISO 13485 revisions. As we know, quality is a continuous improvement process and hence every now and then any given quality standard like ISO 13485 will be updated according to the needs and changes regarding the medical device industry. So these changes, whatever we made to ISO 13485 will be released in new revisions. So far, we have three such instances where ISO 13485 is revised and it is updated or changed. The foremost release of ISO 13485 was in 1996, followed by the second one in 2003, and the latest being released in 2016. This ISO 13485 2016 revision responds to the latest quality management system practices, reflecting the latest inventions, technological advancements in medical device industry, and changes in the regulatory requirements or regulatory expectations as well. ISO 13485 will ensure that it, the standard remains compatible with other management system standards as well, like ISO 9001. So overall, this is a small background of ISO 13485 through which I would like to connect you to the latest status of ISO 13485. ISO 13485 structure. So ISO 13485 2016 revision is a 36-page document with 2 clauses and 8 clauses and 2 annexures. They are: the first clause is scope. The scope of ISO 13485 and its applicability is defined in this very first clause, covering all aspects of medical device life cycle from design and development to production and post-production activities, etc. Second clause is normative references. ISO 13485 has a normative reference to ISO 9000, which is for quality management systems, fundamentals, and vocabulary in its reference. Third class is for terms and definitions. So specific terms and their definitions used in the standard like medical device, clinical evaluation, compliant, implantable medical device, etc. are defined in this clause. Fourth clause is about quality management system where all general requirements of a quality management system are defined in this clause. Fifth clause will define management responsibilities like planning, quality policy, customer focus, responsibility, authority, review, etc. Sixth clause is about resource management, infrastructure, workplace, trainings, internal communication, contamination control, and etc. Seventh clause is all about product relation, where we do have requirements for planning, customer consent on requirements, design and development, traceability, preserving the product, servicing and installation of the product, customer property management, etc. And the last clause, which is measurement, analysis, and improvement, have requirements for collection of feedback, complaint handling, managing non-conforming product, analyzing product and process performance, collection of data points, etc. So I believe this information will help you in familiarizing yourself with the contents of ISO 13485. Now let's look into the important clauses in ISO 13485. So out of 8 clauses in ISO 13485, these are the clauses which are important. So clause 4 of ISO 13485 is about quality management system, where we have general requirements of a quality management system and documentation requirements like control of records, control of documents, quality manual, etc. Clause 5 of ISO 13485 is about management responsibility, where we have requirements for management commitment like timely reviewing, monitoring, etc. Customer focused requirements like any agreements, quality statements, MOUs, etc. Requirements to define a quality policy and requirements on planning things ahead like production planning, procurement planning, etc. Responsibility, authority and communication, and setting up an internal communication, defining responsibilities and authorities of resources are defined here. Management review. So inputs for management review and outputs for management review, etc. are defined here. In clause 6 of ISO 13485 is about resource management, where we have provision for resources, human resources, infrastructure requirements, work environment, and contamination control requirements. Clause 7 of ISO 13485 is about product realization, where we have planning of product realization, customer related processes, customer consent on requirements, design and development, purchasing, production and service provision, control of monitoring and measuring equipment. And in clause 8 of ISO 13485 is about measurement, analysis and improvement, where we have general requirements, monitoring and measurement requirements, controlling of non-conforming product requirements, analysis of data and improvement requirements. Hope you have gotten clear picture of what is ISO 13485 and its structure and what does each clause in it speaks about. So before we go into the next topic, I would like to take a poll. So the question is, do you believe that ISO 13485 can improve quality of a medical device? So I would like to repeat the question. So do you believe that ISO 13485 can improve quality of a medical device? So I request you to choose any one of the option which you can see on your screen. Yeah, thanks for your response. I see majority of S saying yes. So ISO 13485 is a global standard designed with an aim to optimize process, define procedures for producing a best medical device. By considering the requirements defined in the ISO 13485, you'll be able to manage, plan reviews, monitor the process or procedural effectiveness, and prepare yourself to handle anything related to development of a medical device. Let's understand in detail and how it is done in the remaining webinar. Now we are into the next topic of the webinar, which is about medical device. So let's firstly understand what is a medical device. As defined in ISO 13485, the statement says that any instrument, apparatus, implant, appliance, a machine, or a software which is used for a medical purpose is called as a medical device. For example, things listed here, as you see, are part of medical treatment, starting from stethoscope, a syringe, a thermometer, crutches, wheelchair, bandage, etc., are considered as a medical device. But few are not medical devices, like any pharmaceutical drugs, medicines, any processings like treatment, clinical analysis are not considered as a medical device. Hope this explains what should be considered as a medical device. Medical device classification. Usually, there are different medical devices for different medical purposes. Since a medical device performance or functionality is critical to human health and safety and can directly impact a patient's life, we categorize these considering their risk factor. Based on the risk involved with the use of medical device, they are classified into majorly three categories, namely class 1, class 2, and class 3. So class 1 devices are low risk devices like surgical gloves, stethoscope, thermometer, wheelchair, etc. Class 2 devices are moderate risk devices like ECG, X-ray machine, etc. Class 3 devices are high risk devices like stents, pacemakers, implants, etc. So considering stethoscope, which is used to check the heartbeat of a patient, it is not so critical to the patient if it is malfunctioning. So it will be categorized as class 1. But when we consider X-ray machine, it could be harmful if a patient is exposed to the harmful X-rays for a longer period of time, or any sensitive parts of the patient exposed to X-rays for a prolonged duration will result in multiple health complications. So considering that as a moderate risk, a X-ray machine is categorized under class 2. While considering the high risk medical device like a pacemaker, which is intended to aid our heartbeat pace of a patient, any functionality disorders in the device will be catastrophic to the patient life. So that's the reason we categorize such critical care devices under the class 3 classification. So proper categorizing a medical device according to the standards or regulatory requirements will help us in evaluating a medical device better. Now, I would like to explain you different phases in medical device product life cycle. So there are 5 major phases in life cycle of a medical device. So they are planning and definition phase, design and development phase, verification and validation phase, product relation phase, and post-market activities phase. So planning and definition phase, where we plan our product manufacturing, design, resource planning, etc. And we define a lot of things in this phase related to our product relation, like acceptance criteria, quality policy, review mechanism, etc. In design and development phase, we focus on designing our product according to the strategy and definitions framed in the earlier phase and start to convert those requirements into reality. Here we develop a prototype, test it, and conclude on design essentials. Verification and validation phase. So in this phase, we verify our outputs versus inputs, check the produced product against the design, test for reliability, functionality, and generate required reports to conclude that we have produced the desired product with desired features and ability. After confirming that everything is fine, we do design transfer to the production team to produce our actual product. Product realization. So in this phase, we go for a full-scale production which involves outsourcing any material or subcomponents, assembling the product, perform final quality check, transport and distribute our product with appropriate packaging and storing to get our product to the end user. Post-market activities. So this is a phase where we track and collect data about our product which is in real use. So this helps in handling any complaints, concerns from the customers and infuse those as inputs to our next design update. And also certain regulatory bodies will recommend to report any adverse events noticed while using the medical devices. So any issues brought to your notice will be reported to the respective regulatory bodies as part of post-market activity. At times, we should also handle end of life activities for certain products and product configurations depending on the situation, which again demands an organized or optimal process to pull off our product off the shelf. Hope you can now understand the relationship between each of these different phases involved in medical device life cycle and their prominent role in realizing the product. So before we go into the next topic, I would like to take a poll. So the question is, do you understand the difference between a standard and a regulation? So I would like to repeat the question. So do you understand the difference between a standard and a regulation? So you can select any two of the options which are displayed on your screen. So thanks for your response. I see most of the participants are not so aware of the difference. So a standard proactively defines what you should have in place for better quality, whereas regulation will inspect our organization and its process of producing a product and permit it to market their product once we satisfy all their regulatory requirements in their jurisdiction. For example, ISO 13485 is such a standard which recommends to have a quality management system in place where US FDA or EU MDR will compel to produce a medical device according to their specific requirements. So moving forward into this webinar, we'll get to know about it in detail. Now let us understand how how does ISO 13485 contribute to medical devices. So this is the statement from ISO 13485 for any medical device manufacturer or an entity involved in production or development of a medical device. So this statement says that ISO 13485 specified certain set of requirements to define a quality management system for an organization which is involved in one or more stages of medical device life cycle or associated activities, which may also involve design and development or production, storage or distribution, installation or servicing, etc. of a medical device. So now I would like to demonstrate how ISO 13485 requirements were infused into a medical device lifecycle with the table below. To your left, you can see the important clauses of ISO 13485 as we discussed earlier, and to your right are the essential activities involved in lifecycle of a medical device. So as you see, clause 4 is focused on establishing a strong foundation for the QMS, ensuring that the necessary documentation, essential resources, and management support are in place to drive forward an organization's quality objectives, such as quality manual, organization structure, and their responsibilities, standard operating procedures, and work instructions, etc. And resource planning, their competency analysis, defining their authority, measuring their productivity, effectively communicating them to adhere to our quality plan will fall under clause 6 of ISO 13485 resource management. Design verification, design validation, prototype development, testing a prototype, design transfer, production plan, servicing and installation of our product will fall under clause 7 of ISO 13485 product relation. Collection of customer feedback, handling non-conforming product, reporting to regulatory bodies, taking any corrective or preventive actions will fall under clause 8 of ISO 13485 measurement and analysis. So these are few examples of a medical device lifecycle activities aligned with the ISO 13485 requirements. Hope you can correlate the relationship between ISO 13485 requirements and a medical device development activities. So to understand what we have discussed so far, so let's look into this demonstration where a syringe is considered as a medical device. Usually, a need or desire will be the input which is defined as a requirement to a medical device. Then the same input goes into several reviews, analyses, and then it transforms into a product which is the desired output in the usual process. Beyond this, ISO 13485 recommend you to infuse quality mechanism into your product development process. To understand that, I request you to guess what are all the activities that you feel are essential for a medical device development. So I would like to show few requirements which are general requirements for a medical device. For an example, any given product should have material requirements where we select certain material which suits best for its purpose. Considering medical devices, material should be biocompatible and shouldn't pose any side effects. One should have defined technical specifications of the product like inputs, outputs, verification criteria, validation criteria, design transfer, assembling plan, etc. We should have a specified packaging and storing requirements defined depending on the nature of the product and its marketing. Product should be appropriately packed and stored so that its performance and functionality or sterility is not compromised. Device labeling and marking are essential and the requirements should be defined according to the requirements of respective standards and regions. Any tolerances, fit and finish requirements are to be defined for a product. Any dimensional requirements or product design of the product should be defined and approved by respective stakeholders. A user manual or instruction of use should be attached with the product, which helps the end user to handle the device and use it correctly for intended purpose and in intended environment. Once the device is realized, we should test for its functionality, reliability, and observe its behavior under anticipated circumstances, either by simulation or by real-time testing, to find any defects in our product. So these are few examples of what you define and plan to produce any given product. I would like to quote few requirements which are additional requirements to a medical device other than the regular requirements. So for example, a quality management system demands to have a traceability matrix which will help to trace down the root cause of any defect and address it. One should be documenting and recording everything related to development of the product, which is mandatory because according to quality compliance, if it is not documented, then it will be said it never happened in the first place. We should handle a non-conforming device according to the procedure defined in the quality management system. Post-market surveillance should be appropriately planned so that any complaints or adverse events are addressed properly, and regulatory bodies like EU MDR and US FDA will ask you to report any adverse events and you should have a plan of action to deal with it. ISO 13485 will recommend to do a benefit risk analysis to estimate the risk involved or the benefit expected. Continuous risk management or risk monitoring activities like reviewing the risk, analyzing the risk, and mitigating the risk involved should be taken place. Disposable methods or reuse instructions should be defined and effectively communicated to the end user according to the waste management requirements like W standards, bio waste management, etc. We should collect customer feedback and register their complaints, and by analyzing these, we learn about our product's actual flaws and rectify them by tracing down the root cause. Then we may implement corrective action for the produced products and perform a preventive action for upcoming products. So these are few examples of what ISO 13485 recommends to an organization or a medical device producing entity to outline and strategize certain activities which are aimed at infusing quality and compliance and to ensure that we develop a safe and competent medical device. So beyond this, there is no restriction to proactively ideate and implement something that helps you to optimize any process to improve your quality of your medical device. As we just gone through, below are the key benefits that I would like to summarize that how a medical device benefits in complying to ISO 13485. So ISO 13485 will help a medical device to be compliant to many regional or country specific regulatory bodies. ISO 13485 will guide to improve the quality of the product and quality of the process as well. It will identify possible foreseeable risks and help in preparing yourself on how to handle and how to handle the identified risk at very early stage of the product life cycle. It will enable you to have a complete overview of all stages of your device development with continuous monitoring. You will have the ability to introspect and take decisions appropriately with timely reviews. You can plan to manage and organize all your resources and processes sensibly. You will have full control on your device quality, production, development, and performance, etc. You will end up having loads of data during the course of device development. A proper analysis on organizing that data will help you understand and react better to the situations or challenges which we come across in the entire product lifecycle. You can improve on device performance, reliability, defects, and minimizing any risks involved in the product. I wish that moving forward, you start understanding why is quality management system important and how ISO 13485 adds up value to your products, and we all together collectively develop better and safer medical devices. On how decos can fulfill your needs regarding the ISO 13485, following are the areas where we can help you with. So we offer consultation on applicability, adaptability, and implementation of ISO 13485. We can develop quality framework which will be tailor-made for your needs. We can define a quality management system according to the requirements of your quality policy. We can help you to infuse quality requirements into product development activities at various phases of your product as applicable. And we can support you in conducting and planning internal audits with respect to ISO 13485 by developing checklist, review mechanisms, templates, etc. We can assist you in preparing for external audits with respect to ISO 13485 with mock audits, sampling plan, handling quality audits like closure of audits by providing evidences, replying to the auditing body with the requested information, explaining the purpose and process followed in producing your product, etc. I hope this webinar gave you better insights into the topic of ISO 13485 and its significance in the medical device domain. Now I request you to post any questions that you have in the chat window of this webinar. I see that there are few questions coming in. So let's take the first one. So the question is, I am a manufacturer of medical device which is intended to be marketed globally. Whether complying to ISO 13485 will be sufficient. So I would like to repeat the question. So I'm a manufacturer of a medical device which is intended to be marketed globally. Whether complying to ISO 13485 will be sufficient. So the answer is no. So ISO 13485 guides or helps to establish certain processes and procedures to improve quality. But majority of countries across the globe will have their own regulatory body which regulates medical devices in their country. So for example, if you notice any adverse events related to medical devices, according to ISO 13485, clause 8.2.3, it explains on setting up a procedure for reporting such events to respective regulatory bodies. Whereas US FDA recommends to report any fatal or life-threatening adverse events within 7 calendar days. And in comparison to this, EUMDR recommends to report the same within 10 days. So if you are thinking of marketing your product globally, you should consider the local regulatory requirements as well as for quality, you should derive requirements from ISO 13485. Hope I answered your question. So moving on to the second question. So the question is, what is risk management? So I will try to explain this in a layman term. So considering the recent situation, considering the recent COVID situation, you had a risk of getting infected by COVID, which is a risk. Once you identify the risk, then you'll take necessary risk control activities like avoiding to go out into public unnecessarily. If unavoidable, you'll try wearing a face mask and sanitizing your hands frequently, and getting vaccinated or getting a booster dose will help you to minimize the risk of you being affected to COVID. So activities like identifying the risk, implementing the control measure, analyzing the effectiveness of control measure is called risk management. So considering medical devices which can directly impact patient safety and life, risk management is an important part of medical device lifecycle. So there is a dedicated ISO standard for risk management alone, which is ISO 14971. Please keep following us for a dedicated webinar on ISO 14971, which is for medical device risk management. And I see more questions coming in. Thanks for being proactive in sending your questions. So let's take one last question and we'll respond to the rest via email. So the question is there a process on how to address and comply to ISO 13485, US FDA and EU MDR in one go? So I would like to repeat the question. So the question is there a process on how to address and comply to ISO 13485, US FDA and EU MDR in one go? So the answer is yes, we can do that. Many companies define their own quality policy, which will be derived from the requirements of the standards like ISO 13485, requirements of regulatory bodies like US FDA and EU MDR, or any other requirements like packaging standard requirement, sterility requirements, waste disposal requirements, and electrical safety requirements like IEC standards, etc., and blend them into one collective framework, which is called as quality policy or quality management system. So that way, once you receive a finished product which satisfies such quality policy, the same product or process will comply with all other intended regulatory or standard requirements indirectly. So this way, a robust quality management system is essential for developing a medical device which can comply to the desired standards or regulatory requirements. Hope that answered your question. And so we'll try addressing other questions via email. So this is all for today. Please feel free to reach out to us for any further queries. You can contact us using the contact details on the screen. We would be happy to help you for your ISO 13485 compliance. And please note, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on our website in a week from now. And we will also send you a link to your registered email ID to access this webinar recording. So I would like to thank you for your time. Have a great day ahead. And this is Pawan Reddy signing off. Thank you.